West Coast Cookbook and Speakeasy with Chef Justice Putnam. Netrootsradio.com.
Je voudrais du soleil vert, des dentelles et des théières, des photos de bord de mer, dans mon jardin d'hiver. Je voudrais de la lumière, comme en Nouvelle-Angleterre. Je veux changer d'atmosphère, dans mon jardin d'hiver. À fleurs sous la pluie de novembre, tes mains qui courent, je n'en peux plus de t'attendre. Les années passent, qu'il est loin, là je tombe. Nul ne peut nous entendre. Je voudrais du Fred Astaire.
The breaking news of the day from President Biden came just a few floors below where I'm sitting right now at an ice cream shop where the president shopped after stopping by to taping the Seth Meyers show. And that took place a few floors above where I'm sitting right now. In the ice cream shop, which the president could not pass up before getting in his motorcade and unlocking the gridlock traffic in Midtown Manhattan by leaving, the president said he is negotiating a ceasefire in Gaza that he hopes will be in force next Monday.
We're close. It's not done yet. And my hope is by next Monday, we'll have a ceasefire.
The president also confirmed in the ice cream shop that he's going to travel to the southern border in Texas on Thursday. He said he planned that trip before the White House knew that Donald Trump also plans to go to the southern border on Thursday, 350 miles away from where President Biden will be in Brownsville, Texas. Oh, and Joe ordered mint chip and Seth ordered honeycomb.
Hi, how are you? Hi. See you guys. You like ice cream too? Yeah. No more ice cream. You're in for a treat.
Let's sit up there.
Pretty go when you were president of the United States and the number two things, Ray-Ban sunglasses and ice cream.
There you go.
No better combo.
That is...
We've got mint chip, we've got coffee
How
avocado.
about mint chip?
Mint chip, you got it.
And how about sugar?
Sugar cone? Yeah.
Okay.
I was worried you were going to be that guy who asked for all the samples.
We can get you some samples.
By the way, I'm the last of the big spenders in the East, so I can put whatever he's at.
Oh, look at that. I'll do a honeycomb.
Honeycomb?
Yeah.
Would you like that on a waffle cone?
I'll have it the same way.
Sugar cone? You got it.
You got it. While Joe Biden was happily mixing with the people of New York and making news around the world from an ice cream shop on 6th Avenue, 5 blocks away from where Donald Trump used to live, the people of the state of New York were crushing Donald Trump in court. The people of the state of New York against Donald J. Trump defendant is the official name of the criminal case that District Attorney Alvin Bragg is prosecuting against Donald Trump, which will be the very first criminal trial that Donald Trump has to go through beginning on March 25th. It is the trial in which Trump supporters might get to listen to the under oath testimony of porn star Stormy Daniels explaining how and why Donald Trump paid her $130,000 during his first presidential campaign to keep his adventures with Stormy Daniels secret in a deliberate deception intended to deceive American voters about Donald Trump before they voted in 2016. Having watched enough of defendant Trump's antics in various courtrooms, including mostly New York City courtrooms, District Attorney Alvin Bragg has seen enough. He filed a 331-page motion for a gag order on defendant Trump in that case. The motion says, to protect the integrity of this criminal proceeding and avoid prejudice to the jury, the people respectfully request that this court issue a narrowly tailored order restricting certain prejudicial extrajudicial statements by defendant. Defendant has a long history of making public and inflammatory remarks about the participants in various judicial proceedings against him, including jurors, witnesses, lawyers, and court staff. Those remarks, as well as the inevitable reactions they incite from defendants' followers and allies, pose a significant and imminent threat to the orderly administration of this criminal proceeding. The motion offers voluminous evidence of the danger Donald Trump poses to everyone involved in the case, including witnesses and jurors. The motion seeks to restrict Trump comments about the prosecutors, but it specifically does not include District Attorney Alvin Bragg himself as someone Donald Trump would not be allowed to talk about. District Attorney Bragg has deliberately not asked the court to protect him from Donald Trump's threats. A 5-page affidavit appears toward the end of the motion. It's easy to miss that affidavit for most of the news media describing the contents of this motion. It begins with the name of the person filing this affidavit, and the next sentence says, "I am a sergeant in the New York Police Department. Since January of 2022, I have served as the commanding officer of the security detail of New York County District Attorney Alvin Bragg. I monitor threats in coordination with the NYPD's Threat Assessment and Protection Unit, a unit within the NYPD's Intelligence Bureau. In 2022, Threat Assessment and Protection Unit logged 483 threat cases. Of the 483 threat cases, 1 involved threats to the district attorney, his family, or his employees." So, the year before Alvin Bragg prosecuted Donald Trump, he got only 1 of the 483 credible threats issued to New York City officials. The affidavit continues. In 2023, Threat Assessment and Protection Unit logged 577 threat cases. Of the 577 threat cases, 89 involved threats to the district attorney, his family, or his employees. In 2023, the first threat case involving the district attorney, his family, or his employees was logged on March 18th, 2023. Here is what happened on March 18th, 2023. Donald Trump announced on social media that he, quote, will be arrested on Tuesday by District Attorney Alvin Bragg. The affidavit continues. By March 20th, 2023, the volume of threatening, harassing, or offensive calls and emails increased significantly, exceeding the capacity of the DA office investigators and NYPD detectives detailed to the DA's office. Starting on March 20th, 2023, all such calls and emails were forwarded directly to Threat Assessment and Protection Unit for review and assessment. Since the DA took office on January 1st, 2022 through mid-March of 2023, none of the threats received required referral for further investigation in partnership with a prosecutor's office. In the 3 weeks following March 18th, 2023, several threats were received that ultimately were referred for further investigation in partnership with a prosecutor's office. One public example of a threat during that time period is documented in the felony complaint in People versus Craig DeLue Robertson. The complaint details that on or about March 18th, 2023, the defendant did knowingly transmit in interstate commerce a communication containing a threat to injure the person of another, the New York County District Attorney Alvin Bragg. To it, Alvin Bragg, heading to New York to fulfill my dream of eradicating another of George Soros' two-butt political hack DAs. I'll be waiting in the courthouse parking garage with my suppressed Smith & Wesson M&P 9mm to smoke a radical fool prosecutor that should never have been elected. I want to stand over Bragg and put a nice hole in his forehead with my 9mm and watch him twitch as a drop of blood oozes from the hole as his life ebbs away to hell. Bye-bye to another corrupt bastard. That is what one Trump supporter wrote to Alvin Bragg the day that Donald Trump announced that he would soon be indicted by Alvin Bragg. The affidavit refers to more than 600 emails and phone calls received at the DA's office that were threatening. A small sample is included in the affidavit. March 19th, 2023, leave Trump alone or Bragg will get assassinated. March 19th, 2023, just shoot Bragg in the head and he stops being a problem. March 21st, 2023, if you lay a hand on President Trump or his family, friends, supporters, or myself, my family, or any patriot, instant death. March 22nd, 2023, just wanted to say, I can't wait to watch you swing from a rope in your military tribunal. You're a disgusting George Soros puppet. Effing money will get you nowhere. You better get on your knees and pray to Jesus Christ. You're going to find your maker soon. We have every reason to believe that that is exactly what Donald Trump was hoping for when he announced he would soon be indicted by Alvin Bragg. Donald Trump has also attacked the judge in this case who has to decide whether to impose a gag order on Donald Trump. Donald Trump has also attacked the judge's family. Donald Trump's lawyers tried to pursue their appeal in New York today of the $83 million jury verdict against Donald Trump in the E. Jean Carroll lawsuit that accused Donald Trump of rape. But Donald Trump's lawyers tried to do it on the cheap, which Judge Lewis Kaplan did not allow. Judge Kaplan filed a short order saying Mr. Trump has moved for an administrative stay of enforcement pending the filing and disposition of any post-trial motions that he may file. He seeks that relief without posting any security. The court declines to grant any stay, much less an unsecured stay, without first having afforded plaintiff a meaningful opportunity to be heard. Plaintiff shall make any response to the defendant's motion no later than 5 p.m. on February 29th. Any reply shall be filed no later than 5 p.m. on March 2nd. Special Prosecutor Jack Smith has responded to the Trump criminal defense lawyers, claiming that Donald Trump is the victim of selective prosecution in the Florida case, where he is accused of violations of the Espionage Act and illegal possession of documents. Donald Trump's lawyers say that other former officials, including Joe Biden, after he left the vice presidency, have possessed some classified material and were not prosecuted. One of the necessary elements of a claim of selective prosecution is identifying a case where there was no prosecution, but it is so close in every way to the case being prosecuted that it shows that the prosecutors unfairly decide who is allowed to commit this crime and who gets prosecuted. Jack Smith's response says, the defendants have not identified anyone who has engaged in a remotely similar suite of willful and deceitful criminal conduct and not been prosecuted, nor could they. Indeed, the comparators on which they rely are readily distinguishable. For example, their primary comparator is Joseph R. Biden, whose conduct is described in the recently issued report by Special Counsel Robert K. Hur. But as the Hur report itself recognizes, several material distinctions between Mr. Trump's case and Mr. Biden's are clear. Most notably, Trump, unlike Biden, is alleged to have engaged in extensive and repeated efforts to obstruct justice and thwart the return of documents bearing classification markings. And the evidence concerning the two men's intent, whether they knowingly possessed and willfully retained such documents, is also starkly different. There have been many government officials who have possessed classified documents after the ends of their terms in office, often inadvertently, sometimes negligently, and very occasionally willfully. There have also been a very small number of cases in which former government officials who have been found in possession of classified documents have briefly resisted the government's lawful efforts to recover them. But there has never been a case in American history in which a former official has engaged in conduct remotely similar to Trump's.
It is Tuesday, the 27th of February of 2024, and you are in West Coast Cookbook and Speakeasy. I am your chef de cuisine, Justice Putnam. Gunnar, the English bulldog, is our snoozing sous chef. Precious, the little Yorkie, is our door girl, and she will be seating you directly for our especially special daily special, Tarrytown Chowder Tuesdays. A small scant dash, a mere pinch of hot smoked Hungarian paprika will make all the difference in the world. Oh boy. You know it always has, and it always will. There, got it all out. Alrighty, well, actually, yesterday we took little Precious to the vet's, and I was a day off. And so it was supposed to be today, but Dr. Dickey called, his staff called about 7:30 local time last night, and so we're going to take little Precious in on Wednesday morning. And then that's also the day that we drive, a good 25 miles or so, 30 or so, to Medford to have a sit down with the surgeon at the hospital that Mom may be getting her procedure with. We'll see. I mean, everything, presumably she's okay enough to be able to have the procedure. But we went through the CAT scan. Mom moved a little bit. Thanks, Mom. You're supposed to stay still. And we'll see if they have to do another one or another. She's had the echo test and a few other things. So we'll see. But, nobody wants anybody, including themselves or a loved one, anybody to have a stroke. And that's what we're trying to prevent. So I suppose if they can do it medically, which I don't know, we'll see. But, boy, aging is rough. Whew. Jeez. I guess we're finding out ourselves. Okay, so we'll be taking little Precious in the morning. We'll have Mom's sit-down consultation or any other tests that they may give us. And then come back and towards probably late afternoon, early evening, go and pick up the little doggy. And then, when she recuperates from the teeth cleaning, the removal of a couple of loose teeth, when she recovers from that, then we will attend to her back haunches. Actually, her kneecaps are out of alignment, and they need to be brought back into place. And I mentioned before that that's endemic to little dogs, especially little dogs like a Yorkshire Terrier. And I know what it is, as I've mentioned before, what it is to have your kneecaps out of alignment. It's not fun. And it's no fun having them pulled back into place either. So I guess with a dog, they got to put them under. And so we will be doing all the protocols, like no food after 6 p.m. local time. Water's fine. But so we'll have to take care of the little thing. And then we'll take care of her after she gets one leg and then the other. So we'll see how long that recovery is. Apparently the legs, they don't want them bound up, or they want them to start using them right away. Break out those adhesions before you have adhesions. Ouch. I've had those before too, and they're not fun. Okay, so what else is going on in the world? Well, locally, once again, I'm still in a tete-a-tete with the anti-government, anti-public education people. Apparently, they've been able to get enough valid signatures, even though there was quite a few they had to throw out because they weren't. Anyway, they got enough valid signatures to get a measure on the ballot so that we can give tax dollars for private school tuition. Because as they put it, why should only rich people and elites like liberals send their kids to private school? Why can't we? Well, so what you're proposing is to give rich people even more tax dollars to send their kids to private school. Okay. Homeschooling. See, our failed public school system is so woke. And teachers are convincing kids to have their gender changed. Like teachers have enough time to do that when they can't even teach the kids how to read, which is another complaint these people have. And they think the kids can't read is because, they've tried to dumb us down because they're letting in all these racial, so you try to bring up the fact that the whole push for school choice and vouchers its legacy is in the anti-busing, anti-integration movement that was put in place, right around Watergate. Okay. We were all there. We all remember it, and some people, they were upset. Not that there was such a pushback by a bunch of bigots, but because they didn't want to have to share their schools with you-know-who. So the same dynamic is being played out here. Fortunately, I got to say, there's a bunch of people where I don't have to be the lone voice. I like that. Of course, I love the pointed jabs and barbs hurled my way by, we'll just say, the usual suspects. So if anything happens, the FBI and the DOJ, and which I know is the same, but anybody else who may be looking into it can look for the usual suspects, and they won't be hard to find. Trust me. Okay. You never know. See, my experience is that if you put your head up too high, things like your dog might be poisoned. Yeah, that's happened a few times to some friends who were running for office in Sonoma County. I think the progeny of those who burned down Jack London's house at Valley of the Moon. Wolf House. Toured those ruins a few times. Thanks, neighbor. So you got to be careful. So the people that poisoned Eric's dogs, and John, my friend John, his older brother Eric, some people might know him down there in Sonoma, because I'm up here now in Oregon. Yeah, he one time was the youngest elected official in the United States when he was a county supervisor in Sonoma County. Came back from the war, I think he was 23, 24. Not so young anymore, but still pretty young at the time. Did a few other things. But yeah, when he was running for, I think, another term on the county soups, I guess the rednecks or whomever didn't like it and poisoned his dogs and poisoned John's dog, strychnine. That's not a nice way to go for any living organism. My own experience has been such that, bomb threats, called to the house late at night, my car beat to hell, tires slashed. I say it was firebombed. Really what happened is somebody put some, some sort of flammable liquid like lighter fluid and tried to light it on fire. And it, it blistered the paint. It was no fun. It wasn't like the whole thing was engulfed, but it still was set on fire. Yep. And that was just for Nixon. Everybody thinks of Nixon as like a jolly old fellow now, don't they? God, remember those days of Nixon when he was just like incarcerating tens of thousands of people at RFK Stadium? No one remembers that, do you? That happened. Yeah, turning us into Chile or, any of the other Latin American states that the School for the Americas taught oh so well. Well, it worked so good down there with Allende. Let's do it here. Yeah, jeez. Now Nixon's looked at as being, he's such a jolly old fellow. But that's the kind of interdisciplinary type of experience that one cannot really explain to, I don't know, I don't know, Yeah. Those people with the red hats, the giant pickups, the ones who call us the elite, who have all this disposable income that they could go out and swamp their little pleasure craft, have it sink, and then they got to haul it out. They got to hire somebody to haul it out. Man, it takes a lot of money to be in a cult. And looks like Trump's trying to wrangle the RNC into being his bank. More than it was before. Had to get rid of Ronna. She wasn't going to go for it. She's going to change her name back to Romney because everybody knows her as Ronna McDaniel. Okay. No one knows her as Romney. Smart girl. She not only did it for Trump, because she saw where it was going, the way this guy thinks, what triggers him and his sycophants. So, go back to Romney. People won't know who to harass at 3 a.m. With Klieg lights and a couple of hundred people with bullhorns. That's how it happens. All right. Well, at least he's going to have Laura. I think Laura's going to do it. She's already said every dollar goes to Trump. Okay. He's got to dip his beak. I think he's doing more than dipping the beak. So I don't care. I'm here for it. All those down races that are going to be starved for cash. We'll see. I think that maybe when it comes to that, the American oligarchs, and you know who they are, they might set their foot down. Because at some point, it's not personal. It's business. All right. What do we have in store for you here in the Bistro Cafe as we begin this fabulous Tarrytown Chowder Tuesday? Well, at the top, that was Alvin Bragg's gag order and Lawrence breaking it down and all the credible threats. Man, people aren't kidding either. And the NYPD said that they didn't think it was kidding as well. The West Virginia House passed a bill to allow religious exemptions for student vaccines. The New College of Florida has been hit with a rare sanction for egregious and extensive standards violations during DeSantis' conservative takeover last year. And students at a medical school in the Bronx will no longer pay tuition after it received a $1 billion donation. And they're not even going to change the name of the school. After the break, we move to the chef's table where Germany plans to enable underground storage of captured carbon dioxide at its offshore sites. And the International Atomic Energy Agency reported that Iran has increased its total stockpile of uranium and continues to bar the agency's most seasoned inspectors for monitoring the nation's nuclear program. Thank you, MAGA. Thank you, Donald Trump. All that and more on West Coast Cookbook and Speakeasy. Bon appetit. Homepage at netrootsradio.com. To the right of the page is the chat room link, and the chat room is monitored by Kelly Lincoln, and we thank Kelly for doing so. Thank you, Kelly. Across the page to the left from that chat room link near the bottom of our homepage at netrootsradio.com is the link to our Patreon page. And if you could become a recurring Patreon of Netroots Radio, it really does help us put a big dent in the bills that we pay to continue this powerhouse of resistance. So if you could afford to send us what you might spend on an espresso-type coffee drink, for instance, if you could send those funds to us once a month, thus becoming a recurring Patreon of Netroots Radio, it really does indeed help us put a big dent in those bills so we can continue this powerhouse of resistance as the founders originally intended so many years ago. Thank you. If you would like to follow Netroots Radio on Twitter, Mastodon, Spoutable, Blue Sky, Facebook, etc., you can do so at Netroots Radio. Tom takes care of those, and we all take care of Facebook, don't we all? If you would like to follow me on all of those social media platforms, and also, hey, why not Tumblr? Who remembers Tumblr? Instagram, who remembers that? Yeah, you can follow me at Justice Putnam. I post the show notes and links diary on Daily Codes 10 minutes before showtime, so if you follow my social media feed, you can have quick access to those diaries, and therefore you can then link up with the actual reportage by the actual reporters. You can also follow the show, such as it is on Twitter, at Cookbook West. And most importantly, do please pick up podcasts by way of Spreaker, TuneIn, iHeart, YouTube, iTunes, even Audible now. Not Stitcher, but Audible. Okay. Lose some and then you get some. That's how the world balances out. Oh, my. Alrighty, this first offering here, it's only Tuesday too, what the hell? This first offering here in the Bistro Cafe as we begin this fabulous Tarrytown Chowder Tuesdays is by John Robbie? Must be Robbie. Maybe it's Rabby. John Rabby from the Associated Press. West Virginia would join 45 other states that allow religious exemptions from childhood vaccines required for school attendance under a bill that passed the House of Delegates on Monday. That was yesterday. The religious exemption is included in a bill that would let private schools decide whether to implement vaccine mandates. See where this is going? It was added to the bill as an amendment that passed on Friday. The overall bill was approved yesterday, Monday, on a 57-41 vote, and now goes to the state Senate, where its chances of passage are uncertain, but the Senate will have to act quickly. The 60-day regular session ends on March 9th. That's coming up. Some medical experts in West Virginia, one of the unhealthiest states in the nation among adults, call the bill archaic, do you think? Legislators want to turn the clock back nearly 100 years and remove some of the safeguards in our vaccination policies, said Stephen Eschenauer, the health officer for the Kanawha-Charleston Health Department. It escapes sound reasoning why anyone would want to weaken childhood immunization laws. Our children are more important than any agenda that would bring these horrific diseases back to the Mountain State. The bill's original intent was to eliminate vaccine requirements for students in public virtual schools. It was expanded in committee to allow private schools to set their own vaccination standards. Then came the religious exemption added in last week's amendment. You give a religious rat a cookie, they're going to expect a religious rat glass of wine. Fialo of the Daily Beast brings us this next offering here in the Bistro Cafe of West Coast Cookbook and Speakeasy, Tarrytown Chowder Tuesdays. New College of Florida, the school infamously overhauled by Ron DeSantis and his pals, was slapped with a rare sanction by a national faculty group yesterday, Monday, for egregious and extensive standards violation during its conservative takeover last year. And that was violations, plural. The decision to sanction came after a vote by the American Association of University Professors, which has placed just 12 other universities on its sanction list over the last 3 decades. The nonprofit, which serves as a resource to professors and fights for their well-being, wrote in a report that its decision stemmed from New College's, quote, unprecedented, politically motivated takeover, end quote, that was a complete departure from shared governance, they continued. The takeover was orchestrated by DeSantis, who, while performing near daily political stunts leading up to his failed presidential bid, had the tiny liberal arts school completely overhauled in a matter of months. DeSantis appointed 6 new members to the school's board of trustees in January of 23, which quickly got to work at his behest. One of the board's first points of order was to oust its president and hire a pal of DeSantis's to replace him at double the position's previous annual salary. Soon after, the board eliminated gender studies as a major. DeSantis praised the moves as necessary to save the school from ruin, even though it regularly pumped out Fulbright scholars despite having an enrollment well below 1,000 students. The association said these changes were done entirely without meaningful faculty involvement and denied academic due process to multiple faculty members during their tenure applications and renewals. The association said it publicly sanctioned schools for the purpose of informing association members, the profession at large, and the public that unsatisfactory conditions of academic government exist at the institutions in question. Pravina Somasundaram of the Washington Post brings us this final offering here in the Bistro Cafe, part of West Coast Cookbook and Speakeasy. Students at a medical school in the Bronx will no longer pay tuition after it received a $1 billion donation. The Albert Einstein College of Medicine received the donation from Ruth Gottesman, the chair of its board of trustees. It marked the largest gift to any medical school in the country. Gottesman said in a statement that she was thankful that her husband, David Gottesman, who had been a business partner of Warren Buffett, left her the money when he died in 2022. I feel blessed to be given the great privilege of making this gift to such a worthy cause, she said. Einstein's tuition is about $60,000 per year. With the cost of books and room and board, the school estimates that students' expenses can total around $100,000. The school said that it hopes the gift will allow medical education for people from diverse backgrounds who may otherwise not be able to afford tuition. Of the college's first-year class, more than half of the 183 students are women, and about 18% self-identify as being from an underrepresented group. Einstein opened in 1955, originally as part of the Yeshiva University, a private Jewish school in New York. While the university grants the College of Medicine's degrees, Edison moved under the oversight of Montefiore Health System in 2015. Gottesman's donation, the college said, would make it possible for students to pursue medical degrees free from the burden of crushing loan indebtedness. The donation is probably the largest to a medical school ever, according to the New York Times. Tuition will be free starting in August, and current fourth-year students will be reimbursed for the spring 2024 semester. Well, that brings us to our break, and when we get back from that break, we will go through weather from around the world, and we will finish up with the stories that we've curated for you today. You are listening to West Coast Cookbook and Speakeasy, and we will be right back.
You are listening to netrootsradio.com.
Please hang up and try again.
From a point at sea to the circles of your mind, a new force is at work for planetary transformation. New radio for a new Earth.
This program is presented by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention.
For older adults, optimal aging includes preventing injuries, effectively managing existing chronic conditions, and maintaining physical and cognitive health and social engagement. I'm Dr. Linda Anderson, Director of CDC's Healthy Aging Program. The promotion of cognitive health is a critical component of overall good health. Cognitive health among older adults is not just the absence of disease. It's the development and preservation of cognitive abilities such as memory, language, judgment, and remembered skills such as driving. Cognitive abilities enable individuals to maintain social connectedness, an ongoing sense of purpose, and the ability to function independently. In 2013, CDC and the Alzheimer's Association released the second in a series of roadmaps. This roadmap, the Public Health Roadmap for State and National Partnerships 2013 to 2018, was developed as part of CDC's Healthy Brain Initiative. It reflects the insights and expertise of a wide range of stakeholders at the national, state, and community levels. The roadmap shares the Healthy Brain Initiative's vision of cognitive health as a vital component of overall health and well-being, an area ripe for public health efforts. Specific actions are addressed in 4 traditional domains of public health. The first is monitor and evaluate. Tracking the health of the nation is a fundamental public health function. Actions in this area include assessments related to cognitive health that help quantify and qualify the public health impact and inform public health policies and strategies. The second domain is educate and empower the nation, which focuses on actions that raise public awareness and improve access to information and resources. The third domain, develop policy and mobilize partnerships, includes actions aimed at ensuring that cognitive health is integrated into a broad spectrum of public health work. The fourth area, assure a competent workforce, focuses on preparing public health professionals to translate current and emerging findings on cognitive health into effective public health practice. This roadmap provides a solid foundation for the public health community to anticipate and respond as new scientific discoveries related to cognitive health emerge. Public health agencies and partners are encouraged to work together on actions that best fit their mission, needs, interests, and capabilities. For more information, please visit cdc.gov/aging/healthybrain.
For the most accurate health information, visit www.cdc.gov or call 1-800-CDC-INFO.
Wouldn't it be great if life came with a remote control? You know, you could hit pause when you needed to, or hit rewind, like that time you knocked down that wasp's nest.
Uh-oh.
Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes, you can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. To learn your risk, take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
Hi, it's Tom. Could we humbly suggest your donation to netrootsradio.com? All we've got to run this 24-hour powerhouse of progressive resistance radio is what comes out of our own wallets. And you are our biggest donor. It doesn't take much, $3, $5. Just go to the bottom of our netrootsradio.com page and hit our secure donate button. Heck, you can even make a recurring contribution. So donate what you'd like at the bottom of our netrootsradio.com's homepage. Because you are our biggest donor. netrootsradio.com. Together, we are Resistance Radio.
You're listening to the American Democracy Minute, keeping your government by and for the people. We reported yesterday that GOP state efforts in Florida to discourage voting by mail could also suppress Republican voters otherwise unable to get to the polls. Afraid of losing votes nationally, the Republican National Committee launched its 2024 Bank Your Vote campaign, promoting early voting, including by mail. The RNC's Bank the Vote website says, quote, because of the efforts to protect your vote in 2022, grassroots Republicans like you should feel comfortable banking your vote in 2024. It continues, in all 56 states and territories, your Republican Party will be working hard to get our voters to vote by mail or early in person and ballot harvest where permitted. Reuters reported February 23rd that Pennsylvania's Republican leadership is even raising money to promote mail-in voting. But behind the scenes in swing states, GOP lawyers are targeting mail-in voters, now more heavily Democratic. States News cites lawsuits in Pennsylvania trying to invalidate ballots with incorrect dates, in Georgia to restrict absentee ballot application deadlines, and in North Carolina requiring arrival of mail ballots by Election Day. Adding to the split personality is former President Donald Trump, saying after winning Iowa, we have to get rid of mail-in ballots because once you have mail-in ballots, you have crooked elections. For more on the weaving of this tangled web, visit AmericanDemocracyMinute.org. I'm Brian Beal.
I'm Rick Smith, and this is Labor History in 2. On this day in labor history, the year was 1937. That was the day with whistles blowing, the call to strike could be heard through the aisles of Woolworth in downtown Detroit. 108 saleswomen walked away from their workstations and cash registers. The 8-day sit-down had begun. The women saw from the experience in Flint that sit-down strikes were effective. They evicted management, barricaded the doors, and found 200 or so customers still inside the store wanting to join them. The strikers issued their demands: a 10-cent an hour raise, an 8-hour workday, union recognition and a union hiring hall, free uniforms and laundering, and more. Kresge department stores immediately gave their workers a raise in order to prevent similar stoppages. The striking women at Woolworth made themselves comfortable, and the sit-down soon spread to a second store. Leaders from Local 705 of the Hotel Employees and Restaurant Employees Union threatened a nationwide strike if demands were not met. Union cooks provided meals, and union musicians provided entertainment. Hotel workers from across the city picketed in front of the store in a show of solidarity. After 7 days, Woolworth's management caved and agreed to most of the strikers' demands. High turnover in the workforce would undo contract gains at area Woolworth stores soon after the sit-down. But the victory electrified retail workers across the country. The sit-down spread to retailers in St. Louis, New York, San Francisco, Minnesota, and Washington. In 3 strikes, miners, musicians, sales girls, and the fighting spirit of labor's last century, Dana Frank notes that, quote, over 60 years later, unions today in department stores all over the country owe their existence in part to the Woolworth strike. Like what you hear? Check out more at laborhistoryin2.com.
Thank you for accompanying us here to the chef's table at West Coast Cookbook and Speakeasy, Tarrytown Chowder Tuesdays. We always begin, whether from around the world, along the banks of the Rogue River, in the Rogue River Valley of Southern Oregon on the west coast of the continental United States of America, where it is currently 34 degrees Fahrenheit under cloudy conditions and a winter storm watch, and it looks like we'll have mostly cloudy skies throughout the day, highs around 50, winds light and variable, and then mostly cloudy skies tonight with lows in the low to mid 30s, winds light and variable, and then cloudy skies tomorrow, highs in the mid 50s, winds out of the south at 5 to 10 miles per hour, bringing with it copious amounts of rain that should begin sometime around noon tomorrow, Wednesday. So we'll look forward to that, won't we? Pollen remains rated as none here in our town of Rogue River. The air quality index for the region is in the good range at 30 parts per million, which means people will foul the air with their burning trash, which apparently they think they have a constitutional right to do. The daytime UV index is low at level 2. Barometric pressure is holding steady at 30.24 inches. Visibility is up to 10 miles. And relative humidity is at 93%. Weather from around the world is brought to you by a crowd of crowdsourced weather stations that a crowd crowdsources from around the world, and that is the Weather Underground. London is 48 degrees and mostly cloudy. Paris is 49 degrees and partly cloudy with a high wind advisory. Rome is 60 degrees and partly cloudy with a high wind advisory. Bagram is 34 and cloudy. Kyiv is 40 degrees and mostly cloudy. Hong Kong is 65 and partly cloudy. Tokyo is 43 degrees and clear. Melbourne, Victoria, Australia is 68 degrees and clear. San Francisco, California is 50 degrees and sunny. Chicago, Illinois is 62 and partly cloudy. And New York, New York is 50 degrees Fahrenheit and partly cloudy. And that is weather from around the world, brought to you by a crowd of crowdsourced weather stations that a crowd crowdsources from around the world. Pierre Molson of the Associated Press brings us this first amuse-bouche here at the chef's table at West Coast Cookbook and Speakeasy, Tarrytown Chowder Tuesdays. Germany plans to enable underground carbon storage at offshore sites, pushing ahead with a much-discussed technology and an acknowledgement that time is running out to combat climate change. The country's vice chancellor said yesterday, Monday. Europe's biggest economy is making good progress with expanding renewable energy sources and usage, but a solution is needed for carbon dioxide emitted by some sectors, such as the cement industry, that are hard to abate, said Robert Habeck, who is also the economy and climate minister. Germany, which is home to many energy-intensive industries, aims to cut its emissions to net zero by 2045. Habeck's proposal, Habeck's proposed carbon management strategy, which still needs to be turned into detailed legislation, foresees enabling the transport of carbon dioxide and its storage under the sea in Germany's exclusive economic zone, except in marine conservation areas. It does not foresee allowing storage sites on land, but Habeck said that could be considered later if German state governments approve. Opponents maintain that so-called carbon capture and storage is unproven at scale and has been less effective than alternatives such as solar and wind at decarbonizing the energy sector. Habeck, a member of the environmentalist Green Party, recalled opposition to carbon storage when it was discussed in the early 2000s, but he said, "The technology has been developed further, and from my point of view, it's mature and safe, and that is now being used elsewhere, not just in research projects." Environmental group Greenpeace complained that the German plans bear the mark of the energy industry and heavy industry, and would allow even industries for which there are climate-friendly solutions to carry on as they have to date. This is expensive, not sustainable, and encumbers future generations with further long-term liabilities, Carsten Schmidt, an energy expert with the group's German branch, said in a statement. Neighboring Denmark last year launched an ambitious project that aims to bury vast amounts of carbon dioxide beneath the North Sea.
Je te donne ce mon amour pour la vie entière. La promesse de me trouver à tes genoux. Aussitôt que tu m'appelles, rester toujours fidèle. C'est tout, c'est tout. Je te donne tous mes printemps, mes étés de mer, mes automnes quand les feuilles tombent partout. Si ce n'est pas une bonne affaire, je te donne tous mes hivers.
Stephanie Liechtenstein of the Associated Press brings us this final amuse-bouche here at the chef's table at West Coast Cookbook and Speakeasy. Iran has further increased its total stockpile of uranium, according to a report by the UN nuclear watchdog seen by the AP yesterday, Monday, and it continues to bar the agency's most seasoned inspectors from monitoring its nuclear program. The International Atomic Energy Agency also said in a second confidential report distributed to member states that Tehran made no progress in explaining the presence of man-made uranium particles found at 2 locations. The IAEA estimated in its quarterly report that as of February 10th, Iran's total enriched uranium stockpile is about 12,182 pounds, an increase of almost 2,300 pounds since the last quarterly report in November of 2023. It also said that according to its assessment, Iran has an estimated 267.8 pounds of uranium enriched up to 60% purity, which represents a decrease of 14.9 pounds since the last report in November of 23. The decrease is a result of Iran having diluted some of its 60% enriched uranium in recent weeks with lower-grade material. According to the IAEA's definition, around 92.5 pounds of uranium enriched to 60% is the amount at which creating one atomic weapon is theoretically possible. The 60% purity is just a short technical step away from weapons-grade levels of 90%. Well, we had a treaty, and we had monitors there monitoring, and now we don't. All right, that brings us to the end of our broadcast period for the day, but you do know Netroots Radio broadcasts on, and we will meet up here tomorrow for Smothered Benedict Wednesdays. So do stay tuned to Netroots Radio all day and all night for all the breaking news as it breaks. And we will meet up here tomorrow, right here in West Coast Cookbook and Speakeasy. Bon appetit.
Je voudrais du soleil vert, des dentelles et des théières, des photos de bord de mer, dans mon jardin d'hiver. Je voudrais de la lumière, comme en Nouvelle-Angleterre. Je veux changer d'atmosphère, dans mon jardin d'hiver. À fleurs sous la pluie de novembre, tes mains qui courent, je n'en peux plus de t'attendre. Les années passent, qu'il est loin, là je tombe. Nul ne peut nous entendre. Je voudrais du Fred Astaire, revoir un latte Goël. Je voudrais toujours te plaire dans mon jardin d'hiver. Je veux déjeuner par terre, comme au long de golfe clair, t'embrasser les yeux ouverts dans mon jardin d'hiver. Pluie de novembre, tes mains qui courent, je n'en peux plus de t'attendre. Les années passent, il est loin, là je tombe. Nul ne peut nous entendre. Ba-da-da-dum-di-da-dum. 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 Dans mon jardin d'hiver. Ba-da-da-dum-di-da-dum. 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 Dans mon jardin d'hiver. Dans mon jardin d'hiver. Dans mon jardin d'hiver.